Larry Stewart, the secret Santa who turned kindness into a quiet legend. In Kansas City, there was once a Christmas rumor that refused to die. People whispered that in December, when the wind cut through your coat and the streets felt sharper than usual, a stranger might step out of the cold, press a folded bill into your hand, and vanish before you could say a word. No cameras, no speeches, no name. Just a soft Merry Christmas and the strange feeling that, for a moment, the world had chosen mercy. For years, no one knew who he was. They called him Secret Santa. And behind the legend stood Larry Stewart, a man who believed that the best kind of generosity is the kind that protects dignity and asks for nothing in return. The $20 moment. Larry Stewart's story did not begin with wealth. It began with hunger. In 1971, Larry was broke and drifting through Mississippi when he stepped into a small diner called the Dixie Diner in Houston. He had no money, no plan, and nothing in his pockets but desperation. He ordered breakfast anyway, fully expecting to run when the bill came. Jail, he later admitted, didn't seem much worse than starving. But the diner's owner, Ted Horn, noticed him. Instead of calling Larry out or shaming him, Horn bent down, picked up a $20 bill from the floor and said calmly, "I believe you dropped this, sir." Both men understood the truth. That money wasn't Larry's. But Horn wasn't pretending out of pity. Horn wasn't offering charity, he was offering dignity. Larry paid for his meal, left the diner, and carried something heavier than gratitude with him, a promise. If he ever had the chance, he would do the same. That quiet act of mercy became the spark for what would later grow into a lifetime of giving, a chain reaction of kindness that might be called the $20 ripple. From hunger to hustle. Larry didn't stumble into success. He chased it. Over the years, he worked relentlessly, eventually building a fortune in the cable television and long-distance phone industries. But even in business, Larry was unconventional. He trusted instincts more than rules, people more than appearances. The same street awareness that once helped him survive hunger now helped him spot opportunity. Wealth for Larry wasn't a destination. It was a tool. And like any good tool, he believed it was meant to be used. The birth of a secret Santa. In the late 1970s, Larry hit another low point. He had been fired before Christmas, twice in 2 years, and the holiday season felt more bitter than joyful. One cold evening, he sat in his car at a drive-in restaurant and watched a young car hop working outside without a jacket, her hands red from the cold. Larry thought, "I think I have it bad, but she's out here, freezing for spare change." He handed her a $20 bill and told her to keep it. The woman began to cry, not loud, dramatic tears, quiet ones. The kind that come when someone finally feels seen. That reaction changed everything. Larry realized that small, direct kindness could cut through despair faster than speeches or programs. He didn't need permission. He didn't need an organization. He just needed to notice. And so in 1979, Secret Santa was born. Rules of the invisible gift. Larry set rules for himself. He would give cash, not gift cards or checks, because cash meant freedom. People could decide for themselves what they needed most, and he would choose people who were invisible to the world: the tired, the overlooked, the quietly struggling. Laundromats where someone was counting quarters like they were doing math for survival. Diners where a waitress was working her third double shift. Thrift stores where people shopped for need, not fashion. Bus stations where people sat alone in the cold, waiting for somewhere to go. He'd walk up, place a $100 bill into someone's hand, say Merry Christmas, and disappear before the moment could turn into embarrassment. For years, even the police couldn't figure out who he was. But eventually, something unexpected happened. A sharp-eyed officer once pulled Larry over, suspicious of his unusual behavior, handing out money and vanishing. When the truth came out, the officer didn't stop him. He joined him. Soon, some law enforcement officers quietly helped Larry identify people who needed help most, the ones who never asked, never begged, never showed up on anyone's radar. Larry had turned the system meant to watch into a force for quiet good. The legend grew. Kindness without borders. Larry didn't limit his giving to Kansas City. After the September 11 attacks, he traveled to New York City to help grieving families and exhausted workers. After Hurricane Katrina, he went to Mississippi, handing out cash to people standing in the ruins of their lives. No press releases, no banners, no applause. Just a man keeping a promise made decades earlier in a diner. When The Secret came out, in 2006, Larry was diagnosed with esophageal cancer. He knew his time was short. He also knew the Secret Santa tradition couldn't die with him, so Larry stepped into the light. He revealed his identity, not for fame, but to protect the mission. He didn't want the story exposed by tabloids or twisted into something it wasn't. He wanted people to understand the why, not just the mystery. Before he passed away, Larry quietly trained others to carry on the tradition. New Secret Santas, new ripples. Larry Stewart died on January 12, 2007 at the age of 58, but the kindness didn't stop. The $20 ripple. Before his death, Larry founded Secret Santa USA, an organization built on the same simple rules he lived by: anonymous giving, direct cash, and absolute respect for dignity. Today, it continues through a growing network of Secret Santas across the country. It isn't just one man anymore. It's a quiet society of people who believe generosity works best when it is personal, private, and free of judgment. Larry Stewart didn't invent kindness. He passed it on. Why Larry Stewart still matters. Larry's life reminds us that kindness doesn't have to be loud to be powerful. It doesn't need permission. It doesn't need an audience. It just needs someone willing to see the invisible. Larry Stewart's life suggests that we don't have to wait for a miracle to walk up and change our lives. We can be the ones who reach out. We can be the ones who protect dignity. We can be the ones who pass the ripple forward. We can be the miracle.
It's time to study new words in context. 1. Hustle. Definition: to work actively and energetically, often under pressure, in order to achieve a goal or survive a difficult situation. Example: as a young man with little money, he had to hustle every day just to pay for food and shelter. 2. Relentlessly. Definition: in a way that shows determination without stopping or giving up, even when things are difficult or exhausting. Example: she studied relentlessly for months to prepare for the final exam. 3. Unconventional. Definition: different from what is usual or expected, especially in a way that challenges traditional ideas or methods. Example: his unconventional approach to business surprised many people, but led to great success. 4. Car hop. Definition: a worker at a drive-in restaurant who brings food and drinks to customers in their parked cars. Example: the car hop hurried through the cold night air to deliver meals to waiting customers. 5. Invisible. Definition: not noticed or recognized by others, even though the person or problem is clearly present. Example: many elderly people feel invisible in a society that moves too fast to stop and listen. 6. Overlooked. Definition: ignored or not given enough attention, often unintentionally. Example: his quiet efforts were often overlooked, even though they made a big difference. 7. Esophageal. Definition: related to the esophagus, the tube that carries food from the mouth to the stomach. Example: the doctor explained that the patient was suffering from an esophageal illness that made swallowing painful.
Comprehension questions. 1. Who was Larry Stewart, and why was he known as Secret Santa? Answer: Larry Stewart was a successful businessman and philanthropist who became known as Secret Santa because he anonymously gave cash to strangers in need, especially during the Christmas season. 2. Why did people consider Secret Santa an urban legend at first? Answer: people considered him an urban legend because no one knew who he was, yet every December, strangers reported receiving money from an anonymous man who disappeared before being identified. 3. What situation was Larry Stewart in when he entered the Dixie Diner in 1971? Answer: Larry Stewart was broke, hungry, and had no money to pay for food. He entered the diner planning to eat and leave without paying. 4. How did diner owner Ted Horn help Larry without embarrassing him? Answer: Ted Horn pretended to find a $20 bill on the floor and told Larry it belonged to him, allowing Larry to pay for his meal with dignity. 5. Why is the phrase Horn wasn't offering charity? He was offering dignity important? Answer: the phrase is important because it explains the type of kindness that changed Larry's life. Help that protected a person's pride instead of shaming them. 6. What promise did Larry make to himself after leaving the diner? Answer: Larry promised that if he ever had the chance, he would help others in the same respectful and quiet way Ted Horn had helped him. 7. How did Larry Stewart eventually become wealthy? Answer: he became wealthy through hard work and business success in the cable television and long-distance phone industries. 8. What moment inspired Larry to begin his Secret Santa tradition? Answer: Larry was inspired after giving money to a car hop, working in the cold and seeing her emotional reaction, realizing how powerful small acts of kindness could be. 9. Why did Larry prefer giving cash instead of gift cards or checks? Answer: he believed cash gave people freedom and allowed them to decide for themselves what they needed most. 10. Name 2 locations where Larry often gave money, and explain why he chose them. Answer: laundromats, because people there were often counting every coin just to get by. Bus stations, because they were places where people were in transition and often struggling. 11. How did Larry manage to remain anonymous for so many years? Answer: he avoided cameras, left quickly after giving money, and did not share his name or seek attention for his actions. 12. What role did law enforcement officers eventually play in Larry's work? Answer: some officers quietly helped Larry identify people who were truly in need, turning their authority into a tool for good. 13. Why did Larry finally reveal his identity in 2006? Answer: he revealed his identity after being diagnosed with cancer, because he wanted to protect the mission and ensure it continued after his death. 14. What is Secret Santa USA, and why is it important? Answer: Secret Santa USA is the organization Larry founded to continue his tradition of anonymous giving, showing that his kindness did not end with his life. 15. What is the main message or lesson of Larry Stewart's story? Answer: the main message is that anyone can make a difference through quiet, respectful kindness, and that we don't have to wait for miracles, we can become one.